chapter 47. And he brought me back unto the door of the house, and behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house eastward, for the forefront of the house looked toward the east, and the waters came down from under, from the right side of the house, on the south of the altar. Then brought he me by the way of the gate northward, and led me round by the way without unto the outer gate, by the way of the gate that looks toward the east, and behold, there trickled forth waters on the right side. When the man went forth eastward with the line in his hand, he measured 1,000 cubits, and he caused me to pass through the waters that were to the ankles. And again he measured 1,000, and caused me to pass through the waters that were to the knees. And again he measured 1,000, and caused me to pass through the waters that were to the loins. Afterward he measured 1,000, and it was a river that I could not pass through, for the waters were risen, waters to swim in, and a river that could not be passed through. And he said unto me, Have you seen this, O Son of man? Then he led me, and caused me to return to the bank of the river. Now when I had been brought back, behold, upon the bank of the river were very many trees on the one side and on the other. Then said he unto me, These waters issue forth toward the eastern region, and shall go down into the Arabah, and when they shall enter into the sea of the putrid waters, the waters shall be healed. And it shall come to pass that every living creature wherewith it swarms, whithersoever the river shall come, shall live, and there shall be a very great multitude of fish, for these waters are come there, that all things be healed, and may live whithersoever the river comes. And it shall come to pass that fishers shall stand by it from En-gadi even unto En-eglaim. There shall be a place for the spreading of nets. Their fish shall be after their kinds, as the fish of the great sea, exceedingly many. But the miry places thereof, and the marshes thereof, shall not be healed. They shall be given for salt, and be for the river upon the bank thereof. On this side and on that side shall grow every tree for food, whose leaf shall not wither, neither shall the fruit thereof fail. It shall bring forth new fruit every month, because the waters thereof issue out of the sanctuary. And the fruit thereof shall be for food, and the leaf thereof for healing. Thus saith the Lord God, This shall be the border, whereby you shall divide the land for inheritance according to the 12 tribes of Israel, Joseph receiving 2 portions. And you shall inherit it, concerning which I lifted up my hand to give it unto your fathers. And this land shall fall into you for an inheritance. And this shall be the border of the land, on the north side, from the great sea by the way of Hethlon, unto the entrance of Zedad, Hamath, Berothah, Sibraim, which is between the border of Damascus and the border of Hamath, Hatzor Hatikon, which is the border of Haran. And the border from the sea shall be Hazoranan, at the border of Damascus, and on the northward is the border of Hamath. This is the north side. And the east side, between Haran and Damascus and Gilead and the land of Israel, by the Jordan, from the border unto the east sea shall you measure. This is the east side. And the south side southward shall be from Tamar, as far as the waters of Merabath Kadesh, to the brook unto the great sea. This is the south side southward. And the west side shall be the great sea, from the border as far as over against the entrance of Hamath. This is the west side. So shall you divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that you shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you, and to the strangers that sojourn among you, who shall beget children among you, and they shall be unto you as homeborn among the children of Israel. They shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourneth, there shall you give him his inheritance, saith the Lord God. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Now, yesterday we were brought back around to the east gate, and we entered in there. And we learned these about these Sabbath and this and the new moons and these burnt offerings and these lambs and all the he goats and the bullocks, and we found out the measures that have to be measured out with each one according to the dry measure and according to that measure even of oil. And this was the main intent, that we learn how to rightfully discern, even in judgments, even in our own judgment, because we have to use a little portion of understanding now in the judgments against our flesh, and we have to use a little bit of the understandings even of the flesh now in our judgments against the spirit. And this, that there may be equality, that there may be a balance, see, even within. And we're going to pick this up today in verse 1. And he brought me back unto the door of the house, and behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house eastward, for the forefront of the house looked toward the east, and the waters came down from under, from the right side of the house, on the south of the altar. And he brought me back into the door of the house. That door, even of that, we'll find this was the innermost sanctuary. And behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house eastward. And these waters that issued out from under the threshold, we'll find that this was even the threshold of God. These were the threshold, and we've been through this threshold. It's that little place there. It's a line we can just draw where the door shuts. That little line there created between the two posts, even the witnesses thereof. See that line, and what that does is separates that on the outside from that within. And what that is that place that separates even evil. See, it separates. We know this dragon, this one that lives in the flesh, this one who is sent to even that does deceive and trick, and this place that's deceitful, even in this place that is deceitful. But these waters come forth out from under there, and that's where they're coming from, even from that place that separates from the right side. That right side, that's the strength that was made plain, see, that God separated the waters, and God did separate. We'll find the waters, even the understandings, that's what the waters stand for, were separated by the law, see, and the law separates all things, see, for blessing or for cursing. And on the south of the altar. And this south is always that, it's a dry place, it's the parched place. It's that place that has been punished before. It's a witness, see. And that's the altar. That's where they slay. And that's what the altar is, too. Then brought he me out by the way of the gate northward, and led me round by the way without unto the outer gate, by the way of the gate that looks toward the east. And behold, there trickled forth waters on the right side. Then brought he me out by the way of the gate northward. And that's to go out of that place northward, that gate, even judgment, where they gather in judgment, that looks towards the north, even towards the judgment. And he led me round by the way without unto the outer gate. And that's the way on this outer gate, even that outer place of judgment, see that place where they gather in judgments, even in the flesh, by the way of the gate, even by the way of judgment, that looks toward the east, that looks toward this understanding. And behold, there trickled forth waters out of the right side. And these waters, once again, that trickle forth is this understanding on the right side, in its strength being made plain. 3. When the man went forth eastward with the line in his hand, he measured 1,000 cubits. And when the man went forth eastward with this line in his hand, this man who has the line in his hand, who is lining it out, see, it's in his works, and he pulls the line across it to make it straight, to set the edges, to set the borders, to make it known. He measured it out. He determined 1,000 cubits, and he determined the fulfillment of these measurements, of this measure even. And he caused me to pass through the waters, and he caused me to pass through these understandings, even the beginning of these understandings. That was determined, and the waters were to the ankles, and these waters came up to the ankles. And this word ankles is ephes, and it was this finale, and that's what it represents, is that it was to the height above my feet, that the ankle even, and my feet it's beyond the understandings of my past, these waters that were to my ankles. 4, and he measured 1,000 and caused me to pass through the waters, and this again he determined this fulfillment, and he caused me to pass through these understandings, these waters, these understandings that were to the knees. And this word knees is barak. And barak means blessings, and that was the blessings that was coming from the Word, even the understandings that were coming down from God. And again he measured 1,000 and caused me to pass through the waters that were to the loins. Again he determined 1,000 and the fulfillment of this, and he caused me to pass through the understandings of it that were to the loins. And these loins is moten, and it's the loins, it's the hip, it's the place that turns, that twists, and that the understandings could turn, and he caused me to pass through the waters of these loins, and that it was the turn. And then what that represents is these place where the understandings from above descend into the lower portion, there where we can use it, in our path, and it's a similitude to be able to use understanding, in the ways of the flesh. 5, afterward he measured 1,000, and it was a river that could not pass through, for the waters were risen, waters to swim in, a river that could not be passed through. And after this he measured 1,000. This 1,000, this fulfillment, and we'll see that this was 4,000 even, because it was the work of God in its fulfillment, and it was a river that could not pass through. This river, these waters even that descend, that's what the river is, it always is, and we'll find out these waters are descending right from the throne, and it was a river that you couldn't pass through. It was the waters, these understandings had risen, had become so great that the waters were to swim, and they were understandings that one could swim in even, a river. And this swim is to spread forth your hands into the waters, or to spread forth one's works into these understandings. This river even that could not be passed through. 6, and he said unto me, Have you seen this, O Son of Man? Have you seen this? Have you understood this? Have you perceived these things, Son of Man? The one who heard the law in the beginning. Then he led me and caused me to return to the bank of the river. Then he brought me and led me and caused me to return, to go back to the bank of the river, that side of the river, that which was made even plain by the understandings. 7, now when I had been brought back, behold, upon the bank of the river were very many trees on the one side and on the other. And behold, upon the bank, that which is made plain by the understandings, these very many trees on the one side and on the other. Now, witness, both sides have the trees, and these trees represent these. We'll see. These are palm trees. These are the teaching, the correct teaching, this understanding that God gave in the beginning, even the law, on the one side and on the other, because they're being made plain. 8. Then said he unto me, These waters issue forth toward the eastern region, and shall go down into the Arabah, and when they shall enter into the sea of the putrid waters, the waters shall be healed. And then he said unto me, These waters, these understandings, issue forth toward the eastern region, or towards that way that is to understanding, and it shall go down into the Arabah, The Arabah is that dry place. It's that sterile place. It's that place that is infertile, see, because God's punished it. And when they shall enter into the sea, this place of much waters, these multitudes of waters, the sea, into the sea of the putrid waters, the sea of putrid waters, and we'll find out these are the teachings and understandings of men, these things that they pollute understandings. The waters shall be healed. And because, see, it was all the work of God. And when these understandings enter into those places of putridness or pollution, there shall be the waters healed. These understandings shall be healed. It's all the work of God. God did this. God put the understanding out. It's God's work. 9. And it shall come to pass that every living creature wherewith it swarms, whithersoever the river shall come, shall live, and there shall be a very great multitude of fish. For these waters are come there, that all things be healed, and may live, whithersoever the rivers come. And it shall come to pass, and it has come to pass, that every living creature wherewith it swarms, and these living creatures, all these that dwell, that live in the sea, live within these waters. We'll find these waters representing all the understandings, and everywhere wherewith the rivers shall come, these understandings shall come, shall live, and there shall be a very great multitude of fish. And these fish representing the life even in the waters, that's what the fish represents, even these souls that live in the seas, these understandings of all the understandings. For these waters are come there, that all things be healed, and may live, wherever so the river comes. And wherever so the river comes, the understandings that flow from God, the waters shall be healed, and everything in it shall live. 10. And it shall come to pass that fishers shall stand by it from Engadi, even to En Eglaim. There shall be a place for the spreading of nets. Their fish shall be after their kinds, and the fish of the great sea exceeding many. So exceeding much. So these fishers, these ones who cast their nets, who have understanding, shall stand by the river of Engadi. And anytime we see En, it's going to be the fountain. These waters that come from, see, these understandings that come from Engadi, or Gadi, and that's the young he-goat. And we know what the young he-goat is. He's that one that's without blemish. He's that one that's going to be raised up for the offering, see, because that's what we're talking about, all this understanding that comes from even the sacrifices, even unto En Eglaim, and even En Eglaim, that fountain of bullocks. Eglaim, the bullocks, that understandings that come from these bullocks, in that sense that it continues. God causes it's perpetual. See, God has made it perpetual, the place, the spreading of nets, and so it is. And their fish shall be after their kinds, and just like their kinds, these fish, these souls that they gather in the sea, are just after their own kind, as the lives of the great sea, exceedingly many. And so it is, just like all those that live in the great sea, this great multitude of waters that exist, these fishermen catch those of their own kind. 11. But the miry places thereof, and the marshes thereof, shall not be healed, they shall be given for salt. And the miry places thereof, the marshes thereof, shall not be healed. These are the places where the settlings, these are the settlings, and these are that which is polluted, that has to lay, see, in the waters. They shall not be healed. They are given for salt. But they are looked at, and they're witness, see, for the seasoning. Now, that's what the salt is, that which seasons. It's looked into as a healing, that which heals. 12. And by the river upon the bank thereof, on this side and on that side, shall grow every tree for food, whose leaf shall not wither, neither shall the fruit thereof fail. It shall bring forth new fruit every month, because the waters thereof issue out of the sanctuary, and the fruit thereof shall be for food, and the leaf thereof for healing. and by the river, by these understandings, upon the bank, upon that side, that which is made plain thereof, on this side and on that side, even on both sides, the witness that these things that were made plain, shall grow every tree for food. And that's what these trees are for sustenance. Sustenance, we'll see, whose leaf shall not wither. And the leaf, we'll see, the leaf represents that which uses the sun, that gathers the sun, that which is light, that which is truth, that which is understanding, see, and it puts it into the fruit, that which has sustenance in it. And it shall bring forth the fruit, a new fruit, see, a new fruit, every month, with every new moon, with every understanding, even in the lesser light, shall this fruit come forth, this which shall nourish. Because the waters, these understandings thereof, issue out of the sanctuary. They issue out of the sanctuary, even that sanctified place of God, this place where God declares his work from, and the fruit thereof shall be for food, and the leaf thereof for healing, and the fruit shall be for nourishment, even sustenance, even to the soul. That's what that is. And the leaf thereof for healing. And the gathering, this collection of understandings of truth, shall be for the healing, and that is to make whole. 13. Thus saith the Lord God, this shall be the border whereby you shall divide the land for inheritance according to the 12 tribes of Israel, Joseph receiving 2 portions. Thus saith the Lord God, this shall be the border whereby you shall divide the land. And these are the borders. This is going to be the outline of the whole thing. See, the whole border thereof, whereby you shall divide the land. And that's the inheritance, we'll see. This land, this possession, even this great understanding, according to the 12 tribes of Israel. According to the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, 12, the law is witnessed. These are the tribes of Israel, those that contend with the mighty one. Joseph receiving 2 portions. Now witness these 2 portions that Joseph received, that which God shall give. See, because there was a witness made. We'll find out. We're going to find out their names. Manasseh and Ephraim, that's what their name. We'll find more about the dividing up of that in the next chapter, the last chapter. 14. You shall inherit it, one as well as another, concerning which I lifted up my hand to give it unto your fathers. And this land shall fall unto you for an inheritance. And you shall inherit it, you have inherited, one as well as another. From the beginning even to the end, and concerning which I lifted up my hand to give it to your fathers. And this is concerning all that which I lifted up my hand, saith the Lord, my work to give it to your fathers, that which I have done, so that you might inherit the land. See, that which where you abide shall fall into your for an inheritance, because God did the work so that you could inherit it. It was your inheritance even from the beginning, even all the understandings of it. 15. And this shall be the border of the land on the north side, from the great sea, by the way of Hethlon, unto the entrance of Zedad. And this shall be the border, this shall be the outline of it, of the land, that outline of even all the understandings of it, on the north side, on that place of judgment, which was made plain, from the great sea, from the multitudes of all the understandings, even by the way of Hethlon, or Kethlon, and it's hidden. That means it's hidden in the sense that it's wrapped up. It's kind of tucked away unto the entrance of Zedad. And Zedad means those high ones that even going to step aside is what Zedad means. That's basically what it comes down to. And they're the ones that are in authority who are just going to step to the side. 16. Hamath, Bertah, Sibraim, which is between the border of Damascus and the border of Hamath. Hazor Hatakan, which is by the border of Haran. This Hamath, Hamath is the fortress of walls. We've remember Hamath many times, and even these fortress of walls they make out of these broken pot shards. And Barah is that grace of this grove of evergreens. That's what it represents, this grove of evergreens. And we know those evergreens represent all that, those ashers which they made for themselves. And the Sibraim are having dual intentions, and we'll find out. That was what Ephraim was really means with the double fruit. There was two intentions. And between the border of Damascus, this Damascus, we remember Damascus, it's a place where the sackcloth weaver's been working silently, and the border of Hamath, even that outlines of Hamath, that fortress of the walls. That's what creates it. And Hatzar Hatikan, which is by the border of Haran, and Hatzar Hatikan is where the enclosures are separated, and that's what separates these enclosures that we've been talking about. It's by the border of Haran, and that's this place where the light shines in through the holes. Because there's a little bit of understanding coming into that place of enclosures. See, we're going to find out. There's been a hole kicked in the wall. Hatzar 9, Hatzar 17. And the border from the sea shall be Hatzar at the border of Damascus, and on the northward is the border of Hamath. This is the north side. And the border, that which outlines from the understanding, shall be Hatzar 9. Hatzar 9 is that enclosure of perceptions. See, that enclosures of these things which we see, or these things which we have made known, to the border of Damascus, once again, all the way to those outlines of the sackcloth weaver working there silently. And that one who's working is the ways for the mourning, those that have mourned. And on the northward, even towards that place of judgment, those things that were outlined in Hamath, and once again Hamath, see that fortress of walls. This is the north side, and that is that things that are made plain by judgment, those fortress of walls, bit out of all the broken pot shards they could gather. 18. And the east side, between Haran and Damascus and Gilead and the land of Israel, by the Jordan, from the border unto the east sea shall you measure. This is the east side. And this is the east side, that understandings that were made plain between Haran, between those holes where the light shines in, that where the understanding comes through, and Damascus. See, between that and that sackcloth weaver working quietly there. And Gilead, don't forget Gilead, those stones, see, that stony region, those heaps that witness even. And the land of Israel, even all those understandings of those that contend with God, those that contend with the Mighty One. By the Jordan, by that Jordan, by those rivers that descend. See, those rivers that descend even from the throne of God, those great understandings, even those understandings that were held back so they could cross over even on dry ground. From the border unto the east sea shall you measure, and from the border there, see, from those outlines there, all the way to the east sea. And the east sea is that understandings of all the seas, understandings of all the waters. You shall determine. This is the understandings made plain. 19. And the south side, southward, shall be from Tamar, as far as the waters of Meribath Kadesh, to the brook, unto the great sea. This is the south side, southward. And the south side, southward, this south side, that place we can witness, that parched land, even those things that were made plain, southward, shall be from Tamar. Tamar, that palm tree. See, there's that palm tree. That correct teaching, those teachings of understandings being made known. As far as the waters, those understandings of Meribath Kadesh, and those waters even where they contend. See, that Meribath, that's a place where they contend. Even those waters of Meribath, where they contended, see, with that which was hallowed, with the Holy One even. of Israel, that which was made hallowed, they did sanctify the Lord there, to the brook, unto the great sea. This is the south side southward. And that brook or river, this Nakal, and that's where the waters gather. See, that's where the waters gather from the sides of the mountains, those little places down through there, and they gather for the possession. See, those waters even that flow down to the great sea, all those waters, all the great multitude of waters, even understand you. This is the south side southward. All those waters, see, that south way, that place that's been parched, are those things that have been made plain. 20. And the west side shall be the great sea, from the border, as far as over against the entrance of Hamath. This is the west side. And the west side, that's where the sun goes down, see, that's where that's made plain. Darkness is coming, shall be the great sea. And that's where the great sea is, towards that place where the sun goes down, towards darkness. All those waters from the border, those things that have been outlined as far over against the entrance, that place where you go into Hamath. Hamath, once again, that fortress of walls. This is the west side. That's that darkness being made plain. So shall you divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel. And this is how the land shall be divided, even all the understandings of it shalt you divide, because we'll see as God portions it out unto you according to the tribes of Israel, according to your names and according to your tribes, all those that contend, even with the mighty one, those that God has scattered out. 22. And it shall come to pass that you shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you, and to the strangers that sojourn among you, who shall beget children among you, and they shall be unto you as homeborn among the children of Israel. They shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass that you shall divide it by lot. See, according to these things determined by God, this lot for an inheritance unto you. And this inheritance will see that which God has given you, according to the ways you have been divided, and to the strangers that sojourn among you. Now, these strangers, these foreigners that sojourn, that live, that work, that will be there among you, in the midst of you even, we'll find out. See, this was the law even in the beginning. There's one law for all, and they shall be as homeborn among the children of Israel. They'll just be like somebody who is born there, who is a natural, even, so to speak, these children of Israel, just all those that contend with the mighty one. They shall have an inheritance with you, and with you among the tribes of Israel, even among all these tribes of Israel. These, even we'll see, the ones God scattered out, the ones God's divided up by name. 23. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourneth, there shall you give him his inheritance, saith the Lord God. And it shall come to pass, and that in what tribe the stranger sojourns, there whatever tribe he chooses to live, there shall you give him his inheritance, saith the Lord God. And there shall he receive his portion. See, because it's the law, it's the order, and it's these things God has established. Turn and return. Let's move forward to chapter 48.